What are the monetization models that are being considered? There are essentially that can be broadly classified into two. One is the direct contractual approach, such as PPPs, the traditional PPPs, public-private partnerships, and the second category is structured financing models like InvITs, which is infrastructure investment trust, and the second one is the real estate investment trust. Uh, Both these models are being driven through long-term lease, essentially, which means these assets would be given to the interested parties and entities on a long-term basis. For example, the BSNL towers are being given on the lease on a long-term basis to different telecom players currently. So yeah, going back to these two monetizing models, let's talk about the first one, which is the InvIT, Infrastructure Investment Trust, uh, which has been driven by the Indian Trust Act 1882 and then regulated by SEBI Act 2014. Essentially, this is introduced in India in 2014, which is since that it's a very popular financing instrument wherein the money is pooled from various stakeholders, a group of people, and when I say that the money is being pooled, this essentially a trust is created by a particular public asset owner called a sponsor. So yeah, let's talk about who are those various stakeholders. One, as I said, there will be a sponsor, the public asset owner, who would create this trust and transfer that ownership to that particular trust. And then there will be a trustee who would hold that units in place for unit holders. Then the third one is the unit holder who would subscribe to those particular units. Then there will be the investment manager who would bring in these investments and stuff, who basically would manage this entire investments. Then the last one would be a project manager who is responsible to bring in the expertise required for that running a business in that particular sector. In a nutshell, this is about InvIT. Now let's talk about a real estate investment trust. So this, as the name suggests, this largely deals with real estate, which are usually capital intensive. There could be other instruments like land and building debt instruments, which can bring in the value, but they are not very cost effective and they are not risk sharing. Whereas real estate investment trusts can bring in that particular aspect to the table, and these are very much similar to what InvITs are, but InvITs are more popular in India, whereas real estate investment trusts are like more of a global business practice. And it works on a very similar manner, wherein the regulation says that a special SPV, which is the special purpose vehicle, should be created for this particular investment, and then that particular vehicle will drive these investments. In both these cases, as I said, it will be a long-term lease, right? And so let's talk about like what is the difference between the direct contractual approach, the PPPs, and the structured financing models. What is the value difference between these two approaches? The first one would basically the PPPs would bring are required for sectors which requires special expertise, wherein the private party who are interested in investing are expected to bring in that expertise to the table in running the operations and maintaining the assets. And sectors which do not require that particular expertise can be taken or can be categorized into this capital market investments. Especially because capital market investments would bring in good value potential, but may not necessarily bring in that particular expertise which is required for a particular sector. Yeah, that's essentially the difference between these two approaches. So what are the factors that would be considered in choosing between various models? that can be broadly talked about in 4 factors, which is one, what is the valuation potential, what is the potential of that particular fund to generate the upfront receipt for that particular public asset agency, to how tax efficient that particular model is and how well that liquidity process can be done, and the last factor could be the control, how the control that the particular fund would be giving to the for that the control that public sector agency would have after doing this process. So broadly, these are 4 factors which can be which the government would be considering while going for or choosing for a specific financing model.